Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Why'd you come to the...
Oh, hi everybody. How you doing? Ezra Levant here. It's, oh my gosh, it's January 27th already. I can't even believe it. We are like 8% done the year. And it's going to be busier than 2020. It's going to be worse than 2020 because all the conditioning, all the shock to our system of 2020 has been absorbed. And that's the new baseline for them to do more things to us, worse things to us. Governments are more abusive than ever. Citizens, unfortunately, are more accepting of abuses than ever. Censorship is out of control. And the civil libertarians are nowhere to be found. That used to be the domain of the left. That used to be the lefty thing. You know, free speech was so associated with the Berkeley free speech movement in San Francisco, the hard left wing. In the 60s and the 70s, the free speech cases were from the left. I mentioned that case at the U.S. Supreme Court. I think that was from 1970. That guy who went into a court with F-U-C-K, the draft, on his shirt. The judge says, get out. He said, no, I got a First Amendment right. Went all the way to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said he has the right to say that. He has the right to be rude. He has the right to be that emphatic, because to take away his right to say that, he wants to be emphatic. He wants to be rude and profane. He wants to be shocking because that's how strongly he feels about stopping the draft. This was during the Vietnam War. And that was, I think, the high water mark of the free speech movement. And then as the 80s came around, and then the 90s, political correctness came into effect, and now cancel culture is dominant. And the left is nowhere to be seen. There are a few remnants of free speechniks in the left, but they're usually very, very aged. I'm thinking of Noam Chomsky, and that's about it on the list. I want to tell you about an attack on Rebel News, and I'm going to roll out our video on this subject. That's coming out in about an hour, right? And the attack is from Doug Ford, which shouldn't be surprising. I just, you know, typically I've been focused on other things. I want to get to an interesting document I want to show people, but before that, can you help me by clicking on like and share? And the reason I say that is because I want to get a few more people watching. I'm going to get into the Doug Ford story in a second, but first I want to show you our friend Avi Yamini being arrested in Australia. Take a look.
The Australia Day celebrations today to allow them to march.
Hey, put a mask on.
Hold on, you want me to put on a mask? Why are you rallying?
You harassed my dad at an election. Is it time to harass me now?
You literally walked up to me.
Even before you had clout, you were just so aggressive and condescending, and it's like, what are you trying to project, you know?
Am I the one aggressive here today?
Yeah, well, I have a problem with you. I've come up and
I know you're probably waiting to watch the full video of my arrest yesterday, and don't worry, it's being produced as we speak. We had 3 cameras rolling from 3 different angles, so no matter what the police or the mainstream media are claiming today, you'll be the judge when it's published, probably, hopefully, later tonight. And before I do anything, I want to thank each and every one of you who have supported me so far. We have some huge news regarding all of that. But before we get to my latest unlawful arrest, I'm going to show you what I was actually doing at the so-called Invasion Day rally that triggered police to throw me into the back of their divvy van.
I'm not the person to talk to because I'm a white person who colonised this country as well, so talk to First Nations people.
Look, I don't see many here, and you're here protesting, so I guess you are the right person to talk to, no?
I would never speak on behalf of First Nations people.
You're here protesting on behalf of...
That's enough, thank you.
Awkward. How you going, guys? What are we protesting today?
We are... Oh my God, I've just been put on the spot.
Do you want to change the date? I'll make it easier.
Yeah.
Or abolish it? Which one?
Both.
Well, you can't have both. If you change it, you can't abolish it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll change the date then.
Change the date. To what date?
May 8th. Mate.
Mate?
Yeah. That works.
So there's a lot of people here that want to abolish it, and they're not going to accept mate. Would you still protest with them when we change it to mate?
I don't know. Yeah, probably.
So why should anyone listen to you? Why should anyone listen to people protesting to change the date if you're saying once it's changed, you're still going to protest? There is a police presence here today. A little bit different presence than we've seen at most of, well, pretty much any other rally in the last 6 months, aside from Black Lives Matter.
Protesting the injustice, the genocide, ongoing genocide. You hear basic human rights that are just they're non-existent.
Like what?
Like this, the freedom to assemble, for starters, to explain our issues.
But I think this is the only group that's been allowed to assemble. No one else in the last 6 months has been allowed to assemble.
Yeah. I don't know. You're a bloody Nazi.
I'm a Nazi.
Yeah, you're a f***ing Nazi.
For those of you who don't know, I'm a proud Jew. The proudest. In fact, I served in the Israeli army to defend the only Jewish state in the world. So I doubt Hitler would want me on his team. But that disgusting insult has lost all meaning and seems to be thrown around by people who claim to be fighting for equality. They never seem to see the irony in calling a proud Jew a Nazi.
January 26 also happens to be the first sanctioned marriage between an Aboriginal person and a convict by choice. They wanted to get married, they fell in love, even though... do you think we can celebrate that at least? I just came back from Burke, which is an outback town in New South Wales, a high population of Aboriginal. Now, I put the question to a local elder, and I asked her, what are their most pressing issues? What concerns them most?
Alcohol, there's drugs, well, you name it all. It's all in town, all drugs, everything.
Those are the most important? Crime?
Youth crimes. Oh, no, man, I can't. Yeah, no, I've got to tell the truth.
That's the truth?
Yeah.
She didn't mention not Australia Day, not the anthem, not anything else.
Yeah.
Her issues were very different, but none of these people here go to protest the actual issues that matter to them. Why is that? Not one poster about it.
Just by being here, they are. You know.
What's your background?
My background is Australian.
Aussie.
Yeah.
White Australia.
Australian.
White?
I'm Australian. Doesn't matter.
Well, it kind of does. You
All
say.
that matters is Australia.
I agree.
Yeah.
So why do you have a T-shirt like that when you're making it about colour?
Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. Piss off, you fucker.
Yeah, for people, protesting and advocating tolerance and love and acceptance, they seem to be projecting a lot of white privilege on a person of colour. How does it feel to be the only person of colour here?
The only one?
Well, like, one of...
I'm pretty sure there's more than just me, so...
There's me too.
Yeah, exactly.
It starts with the inadequate resourcing and funding of those communities, the support and services that white or the general population get in abundance.
Are you kidding me? The Indigenous community get far more funding than any
not.
other group.
That's absolutely not true.
Come, you want to talk about it?
No.
How does that make you feel?
How do you feel being here?
I love it. This is my country. You're projecting a lot of white privilege onto me. Let me ask you something.
Well, I don't
What are
trust
you?
you because of your fucking track record, mate.
What are you here to protest? I'm not going to harass you like I.
The notion of Australia Day. It's like obviously what we're trying to fucking...
Do you want to change it or abolish it?
Personally abolish it. But I'm
Australia Day!
You know you're meant to be 1.5 meters.
Hey, we can't
That's 1.5 meters, mate. You're breaking the COVID restrictions. Shame on you. You always preach tolerance with such love. This guy is the face of tolerance in Melbourne.
But there is hope, because later on I managed to get to a parade organised by Aussies who refused to let Dan Andrews cancel Australia Day.
Being Australian, I suppose first generation, this is what I stand for.
Now, when you say it's not
a cause that you feel? Is it because you were the only person of colour to walk through the crowd?
Australia is a great country because people has made mistakes. They came together, rectify them, and they still gave hand to others to still come to Australia.
Turns out the people who love Australia, who love this country, are actually the tolerant ones. Imagine my shock.
Isn't that great? I like Abhi so much. I guess I hadn't watched that all the way through before I called for it. Thank you, Justin, for putting that up. I thought that was the video of him being arrested there, but that's still being produced, right? That's coming up. Got it. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. I thought this was a video of him being arrested. He's still working on that one. That was him at the Save Australia Day or Invasion Day rally. I thought it was interesting nonetheless, just for those who aren't in Australia. Australia Day is the founding day. It's their version of Canada Day or the 4th of July in America. And the left has tried to, just like they like to topple statues of people, they want to destroy Australia Day. They want to call it Invasion Day. And you could see, he said, do you want to ban the day or change the day? We have May the 4th be with you. It's sort of a pretend day for Star Wars on May 4th. Sounds like one of the ideas is to having May 8, because you could say, oi, mate, like an Australian would say. Of course, that's got a fun ring to it, but it's ahistorical. It's not when Australia was founded. And anyhow, look at Avi. He's doing great down there. I've got a bit of a migraine. I apologize, so I'm a little bit lower energy, and I've taken a bunch of meds, but they're going to take a little while to kick in. So I apologize that I'm not at my very best right now. I'm sorry about that. So I'm going to play some clips of videos, and then I promise I will get to my story with Doug Ford. I just want to let the meds kick in. I took 3 Advil Extra Strength about half an hour ago. So I don't want you to go away. I will get to the Super Chats, and I will get to my story about Doug Ford. But I think I'm going to buy myself a few more minutes by showing some fun videos in the meantime. Here's one from Sheila Gunn Reid at a restaurant in a small town called Mirror, Alberta. Here, take a look at that.
Just for support.
Do you know that RCMP has threatened him with fines, but also his customers with fines?
I'm not aware, but basically at the end of the day, it's just support for small business.
It's just ridiculous. People need to wake up. The government needs to grab a brain and, start being decent and respect people's rights and do what is right.
They could get in trouble for being open, and you could get in trouble for being here. Is that worth?
Bring it.
Sheila Gunn Reid for Rebel News here nearly 2 hours southeast of Edmonton in the tiny town of Mirror, Alberta. Population 500 people. And this tiny hamlet in this little gas station and the attached cafe behind me, well, they've been the site of a rebellion against the Alberta government's COVID shutdowns of restaurants to dine-in service. It is Monday, and I've been here constantly since Saturday. Since the owner of this little establishment, Chris Scott, decided late last week he had nothing left to lose, and so he reopened his little diner to the public again. The reaction was swift from everyone. The community came out to support Chris and pack his place all weekend. In fact, people have come from all across the province to cheer for him and support his staff in their act of civil disobedience and survival. And the authorities, they moved quickly also. They rushed to stop Chris. Alberta Health Services on Friday issued an immediate closure order. They've also threatened to pull Chris's health permits in the future if his business even survives the pandemic. And they threatened to yank his liquor license. Police have been here at least 5 times over the weekend, including 3 times on Saturday, to remind Chris that he is in contravention of the lockdown and to take pictures of the license plates of the customers dining inside. Cops have said that they will give Chris escalating lockdown fines, that they would also fine his customers individually and even charge those who refuse to leave with obstruction of justice. The full force of the government is being brought to bear on this little place in the middle of Alberta because the owner has nothing left to lose. You can see my full coverage from Saturday, including interviews with staff and customers and Chris at rebelnews.com. It's Monday, a government workday, which means the government inspectors will probably be back. The cops will be back too, likely. Maybe even with fines. You know how the pandemic is just so deadly, and what Chris is doing is just so dangerous that the government has to wait until their banker's hours, weekday, workday to deal with it. But I'm here too to make sure that the COVID cops and bureaucrats can't try to destroy Chris's business in anonymity. I'll be here if they come to capture it all. Chris has let me turn a little corner table into an office so I can work while we wait and see what happens next. It's early, so let's go get some diner coffee, some breakfast, and see where this day takes us.
Hi. Morning. How are you doing? Good. How are you doing? All right. No, I'll get your meal here. Like I said, just pop it in there. And because I'm not going to hide over there. You know, we're around. You know, we're monitoring the situation.
Yeah, I'm not going to hide anything either.
Yep. Good. Appreciate it.
I make sure I try and post every day so HS knows exactly what I'm doing.
Yep.
Make everyone's job easier.
Yep. Yep. I'm fine with that. So. All right.
Right on.
You do it. Good.
Thanks.
Take care. Yes, have a good day.
Why'd you come down to the whistle stop today? You realize you're risking a $1,200 fine by being here?
Yeah, I guess so. But we're done now, so we...
You're getting away.
It's just nice to sit and eat food and look at people without masks on, just normal people. And if you notice in there, everybody's happy, everybody's smiling. People, they're not malicious, they're not angry, they're happy. This is what we want. We want our lives back. And we're all like-minded people, or they wouldn't be here and I wouldn't be here, and we just want to get on with life.
You walked in the door, and instead of being disappointed or frustrated, you were excited when you saw a big lineup to get into the restaurant.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good to see, because I mean, we got, all businesses are essential. I was like really happy to see this, and I came all the way from Parkland Village, because I figured, I don't know if anywhere else really, like around my area, that would, like a business like this that open their doors. And I salute any business that actually opens their doors and stands up for what is right.
Hey, can I ask you, why'd you come down to the whistle stop today?
Well, just to support the people here. Keep them going. This is what it's all about.
Do you know that you're risking a $1,200 fine just to be here?
I know that. Yep. Thank you.
Do you care? No, it doesn't sound that way. If you do get a fine, we will help you right now.
Yeah, well, I guess that or go to jail.
Why'd you come to the whistle stop?
Well, I'm a business owner myself, and I like to support other small businesses like myself. And these guys are doing a great job. Yeah.
Do you have a message for the government? Because, I mean, they've really come down hard on him. They're threatening him with a lot of things.
Yeah, open up, and just give us some hard data. Why are we being the ones, the scapegoats? Give us hard data, and then we'll follow the restriction if this is the case.
How was your meal?
The meal was awesome. Finally, we can sit down.
Why did you come to the whistle stop today?
Ask the young guy. These young guys need to talk more.
Okay.
Yeah, in my opinion, businesses need to be open and people need to support their families, right? So the least we can do is to quit talking about it and actually do something to show real support for these people that have the courage to actually stay open.
Now, the RCMP have threatened Chris with fines, Chris the owner, but also his staff who are volunteering their time, and even the customers. Does that spook you or intimidate you at all?
Not really. I think the goal is to be peaceful and cooperative, right? If law enforcement gets involved, we just follow what they say. But there's no law that says we can't be here peacefully exercising our rights, so that's why I'm here.
I guess in Alberta, having a burger is an act of civil disobedience these days.
Right? Isn't that weird? I never would have guessed that a year ago. If you had said we'd have to go protest government shutdown, stopping us from eating in person together, I would have never believed it. But here we are today, right? So.
Well, we just wanted to leave the rat race of Red Deer and get out and get some fresh air and have a bite to eat.
In a normal place, sitting down with no mask on your face.
Well, to be honest, I didn't even know about this, and which surprised me because I'm on Facebook like night and day. But my friend here told me about this place as we were coming out here. And so when we showed up, I saw CTV was here and it seemed a little strange to me, but then I realized what was going on. So I'm like, well, I'm glad we came because at least we get to support local, right? And hats off to, I think, all of Canada should do this because this has gone on long enough.
Why did you guys come to the Whistle Stop? And you're waiting for a while to get in.
We've been waiting for quite a while, but we heard about it and we were down here looking at a horse today, so we thought we'd stop in. We're hungry.
Yeah, we just want to support the locals and we're happy that they're doing this. So
thanks. Hi, guys. Hi. Why did you guys come to the Whistle Stop? You guys are waiting to get into this little tiny restaurant and it's cold out. Why?
We just want to support the locals. We're tired of being controlled.
Here to support the locals.
same thing, just supporting locals.
Now, they could get in trouble for being open and you could get in trouble for being here. Is that worth?
Bring it.
Hi. For us, it's just support of, again, the locals. And I think the biggest thing is that we all have a choice in life, and this is probably my choice. Nobody else tells me how to make that choice. So here we are, supporting others making their choices.
Well, enjoy your very dangerous burger when you get in there.
To support local and to support our freedom. Yeah, enough already.
Yes. Do you have a message for the government? It sounds like they're going to come down on him pretty hard.
Yeah, they need to back off and support the people.
What about you? Why'd you come?
I'm out of Red Deer as well, and I just follow this restaurant on Facebook. And when I seen that they decided to open up, I just thought, it's time that we got to stand up for what's right. If we don't fight for what we've got, we can't complain about what we lose. So I just came out here. This is the first time I've ever been here, but I just came out to have lunch and support them.
What do you think about the RCMP threatening him with fines and even his customers with fines?
Well, I think the RCMP should be doing what their oath calls for, and that's to uphold the Constitution, not follow the orders of a socialist kind of guy like the Liberals are.
Yeah, I wanted to support like a local business that's trying to survive and trying to be a leader for other businesses to be open and keep our economy going and just be supportive of it.
Hi, guys. Hi. Yes. Yes, you guys are risking a fine by being here. Are you scared?
Not worried at all. No, came to support them. I think it's great that they're open. We should all be open.
Yeah, just we come to support them and make our voices heard, and hopefully someday we'll be able to eat back in the restaurants again and have our businesses open to survive.
Now, Jason Kenney were watching this. What would you tell them?
I can't say it on TV. I can't say what I would like to say to Jason Kenney. Okay, it's time to shut down the big box stores. Open us up.
Why'd you come to the Whistle Stop?
Just for support.
Do you know that RCMP has threatened him with fines, but also his customers with fines?
I'm not aware, but basically at the end of the day, it's just support for small business.
It's just ridiculous. People need to wake up. The government needs to grab a brain and, start being decent and respect people's rights and do what is right.
Well, people have a right to make a living. This is, I don't know, it's beyond words what they're doing. So we got to support people like this. And we need more businesses to do this because they can't prosecute or persecute 5,000 businesses. If there more would just shut down or open up, I should say, that would be great.
What did you just drop off to Chris here?
So we have farm to plate beef sales from our farm by Stettler. And we saw that Chris was, struggling a bit to have inventory and to get started back up after being shut down for so long. So we brought some beef for him to build his inventory back up so he can get some hamburgers out and some other meals out for people. So we brought some ground beef and some roasts, and hopefully that helps him get his business going again.
Do you have a message for the government who has locked down small businesses like Chris's? And I suppose that hurts your business too, because you are suppliers to businesses like Chris's.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty disappointed in Jason Kenney back in the spring when he made, some businesses deemed essential and some not. I gave him a second chance in November when he came out and said that was the wrong thing to do. And, a week later, he did it again. He said there's some businesses are essential and some that aren't, and that's just not the way it works. Every business is essential. So, we need to stick together and show that we're not going to stand for, government shutting down businesses arbitrarily.
Well, friends, what a day on the illegal burger news beat here at the Whistle Stop Diner in Mirror, Alberta. Chris Scott, his staff, and his many, many, many customers made it through the first full government workday since he decided to reopen his restaurant in defiance of the lockdown, with just one visit from the cops at 10:30 this morning, no fines, no tickets, and no health inspectors here to revoke his health permit. So I guess, all things considered, a success all around. Now, I've been here since 9:30 this morning. So since the tail end of breakfast, all of the lunch rush, when it was so busy, I had to take my little makeshift office into the gas station so that customers could have my table. And then I had dinner with friends here before just now I'm headed home. I'll be checking in on Chris and working from the Whistle Stop Cafe off and on until this lockdown is lifted. And if anyone here gets a COVID ticket, staff, customers, or Chris, Rebel News is going to help at fightthefines.com. For Rebel News, at the Whistle Stop Diner, enjoying great food with even better people in Mirror, Alberta, eating and fighting for freedom. I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid.
You can see why she's our chief reporter. Outstanding reportage by Sheila Gunn-Reid. I was truly moved by what those grassroots people say. I'm actually choking up a little bit right now, and it's not just because of my migraine. I was touched by that, and in fact, it made me think of something I saw on Twitter that's so desperately sad. A mom here said, "It's been so long that my kid can't recall what it is he's missing." How sad is that? I don't know why that video makes me so verklempt, but it does. That's a great video. I have 4 things to say about it. Justin, can you send a note to Alex? I don't know if we emailed that out to all our Alberta supporters, but we definitely should. It's such a great video. It's so touching and inspirational and hopeful and reassuring that there are quality people like that out there. So perhaps we sent it out yesterday. I may have missed that. For Sid, I think we should do a supercut mashup of very quick clips, because there was probably 10 or even 15 or maybe even 20 people there, really grassroots people who had little pithy statements, some of them for Jason Kenney. I think we can shorten them by half. I'd like to have like a highlight reel, just quick clips, montage, short enough for Twitter, because that's something Jason Kenney and the political leadership of Alberta should see. And this is what I said at the staff meeting this morning. I said, this rebellion in Mirror, Alberta, a hamlet actually, of 500, is so different than the barbecue rebellion in Toronto a couple months ago. The barbecue rebellion at Adamson's Barbecue was excellent and it was defiant, but it became a citywide, province-wide, even nationwide lightning rod. It became an event. You had 100 policemen, 50 cars, 6 ride horses, and on the other side, you had from all over the Greater Toronto area people who have become activists, as Doug Ford would call them, yahoos, all came there in support. So it became a symbolic place where a battle was fought. And then that battle was quickly over in court as the judge basically said, you're shut down or you're going to jail. So there was a lot of voices there that were not local and organic. There was people being protesting all year and people who have been pro-lockdown all year. What I see in Mirror, especially in that video from Sheila, is extremely normal people. And the number one thing I heard was I'm supporting locals, supporting small business, right? So these were, I mean, some people drove in from Red Deer. That's not far away. It's not like these were, and you heard that one guy, he said, well, I was just out here anyways. So John Tory, the ineffectual Mayor of Toronto, and Doug Ford, the atrocious Premier of Ontario, they would look at the protesters at Adam Skelly's barbecue and say, oh, I know them. I recognize Chris Sky. I recognize him. That's a perpetual protest group. It's not organic. It's not the real community. It's those same guys. That's what they would say. Whereas you can't say that about Mirror, Alberta. Those are not professional protesters. Those are people really just going there. Many of them from the immediate community, some from half an hour away or an hour away. And it's a very different thing. They're not, I mean, those were severely normal people. Every one of them mild-mannered and soft-spoken. They weren't hollering. They weren't grabbing Sheila's mic. Sheila went to them and said, do you have anything to say? And then they came up with something from the heart. And so the reason I'd like to have a quick cut mashup of that, a super cut I think is how they say it, is because I want Jason Kenney and the other decision makers in Alberta to see who this is. This is not an artificial astroturf, as they say in politics. It's not fake. It's real. And it's absolutely Jason Kenney's base. And I'm sorry I have a migraine, so I'm still a little bit not 100%, but I can feel the meds kicking in. I apologize that I'm not at my best right now. But Jason Kenney, who I think is the most important premier in Canada, dealing with the gravest issues in Canada, I think it's important he succeed. And yet he has the worst press corps in Canada, the most partisan, strident, hostile. And he has the public health deep state that are all telling him to abuse those people in Mirror. So you have him in the bubble of the under dome syndrome, as Ralph Klein used to call it. Everyone under the legislature saying, lock down hard, we have more cases. There's a new UK variant, there's a South African variant. You're hearing all this blah, 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 elite expert BS. When, as you can see, we've taken you before to the COVID stats in Alberta, the number of people, the average age of the deceased from the virus in Alberta is 82, which is the same as life expectancy. Almost every single person who has passed away from it had several underlying pre-existing serious conditions. I'm not saying that makes their life less valuable or their death less tragic, but I'm saying it does not require healthy young people in the town of Mirror to shut down their business and to live in fear. If you want to solve this problem, solve the problem. Don't solve something that's not a problem. As Theresa Tam has shown us in her weekly reports, in the entire country of Canada, in the last 10 months, there have been a grand total of 3 pandemic outbreaks in restaurants and retail across the entire country. It just has not happened. So if you want to virtue signal about how awesome you are and how noble you are, fine. If that's what motivates you, go take care of the long-term care homes, the seniors' homes, the old folks' homes, whatever you want to call it. Because that's where almost all the deaths are. Like I say, average age is over 80. So why would you listen to the media party, the public health deep state, and people who hate you and want you to lose and continue to punish those grassroots people in Mirror, Alberta? Mirror, Alberta is not the only such town. Key and Bexley went to the little town of Mossley, where there was another pub that had opened up. They had a little sign saying Mossley Walmart. I thought that was very funny, but it makes the point. How is it science to crack down on the Whistle Stop Cafe in Mirror, but science to let Walmart, Costco, the big box stores stay open. I fear that if Jason Kenney cracks down on the Whistle Stop Cafe in Mirror, that he will not, first of all, he will not help the public health issue. That will not save a single person from the virus. It will not change anything because they're not sick at the Whistle Stop Cafe. They're not. They're not at risk there. Even if someone did get sick, they would most likely recover because they're not in their 80s and 90s with serious, serious health conditions. So you're not going to actually fix the problem you claim to fix by locking down the Whistle Stop Cafe. You're certainly not going to win politically. You're going to destroy your base, and you're going to lose another 5 to 10% in the polls. And those people will likely not be driven to the New Democrats, the NDP, but they will not support the UCP, that's Jason Kenney's party. So I think for public health reasons and medical reasons, lay off the restaurants. They are not a source of this disease. And for political reasons, stop siding with the elites. Can you go to that? I mean, I tweeted a string of tweets yesterday about a beautiful hotel, and I had the pleasure of staying there once. I was giving a speech there, the Jasper Park Lodge. I don't know if it's still owned by the Fairmont chain, which I think was acquired, but yeah. So scroll down, you see that picture there? It might not look that fancy to you, but the Jasper Park Lodge is a series of little chalets in an absolutely gorgeous setting in the absolutely gorgeous Jasper National Park. It's a little bit harder to get to, in my mind, than Banff, but it's exquisite. I remember when I drove out there, I saw a tiny baby bear at the side of the highway, and I pulled over to watch it. And the baby bear, you'll laugh, I didn't even know bears did this. He was eating those little yellow dandelions as fast as he could. It was like popcorn. I've never seen a bear eat faster, and I didn't know the bears ate dandelions. I thought they ate like salmon and berries and stuff, but it was the cutest, funniest thing. I've never been that close to a bear before. It's such a beautiful, beautiful, look at that. So look at the headline there, don't bother opening it. Mystery guest takes over Jasper Park Lodge, the entire hotel, for a 9-week booking. And scroll up, and this is what I said. I said, Alberta's unelected, unaccountable public health scold, Dina Hinshaw, loves being a celebrity and her $300,000 salary. She's having the time of her life crushing the little people with her unscientific lockdowns. But when Hollywood celebrities asked for an exemption, she said yes. Scroll down, please. I bet Dina Hinshaw asked for a movie credit. Special thanks to Dina Hinshaw as part of the deal to allow Hollywood celebrities to be exempt from the lockdown that mere citizens are being forced to obey. I wonder if she asked to be credited as an associate producer. No one in Alberta should pay their lockdown fines, not one, no one. First it was lockdown cheaters like the wicked liar Fire Allard. That's Patricia Allard. Now it's lockdown cheaters like Dina Hinshaw's special Hollywood friends. If you're not part of the ruling class, you'll get a huge fine. I honestly believe Dina Hinshaw is like Fauci. She's a partisan enemy of Jason Kenney, extending the misery for collateral political reasons. She is rewarding leftist Hollywood elites while smashing middle-class mom-and-pop businesses. That's not science, that's politics. Fire her. 3 kinds of people love the lockdown. The public health deep state, profiting from the misery, government workers who get paid no matter what and have half the workload, if any, and the media party. All 3 hate Jason Kenney and won't vote for him anyway, so why listen to them? We are negotiating bulk rates with law firms across Canada to handle thousands of Fight the Fines cases. We'll announce the first deal later this week. If we can, we will make police and prosecutors take every single case to trial, start building bigger courthouses. Yesterday I recorded a very short interview with a law firm with which we have negotiated to take 1,000 cases. You heard me right. I didn't say 1 case or 10 cases or even 100 cases. We negotiated a contract for this firm to take 1,000 cases. Now, I know I've hinted at this before. I did the TV interview with the firm yesterday. There's one more part of it that I have to get ready before I announce it. And forgive me that I'm not quite ready yet, but there's a wrinkle that you'll see when we roll it out that you'll find interesting, and I hope you'll support it. We are also negotiating with a second large law firm, and indeed a third. And it is my ambition that last I checked with Sarah, we had 498 cases. Now I know that we've taken probably 50 more since then. But I'm just going to say 498 because that's the last official number I've heard. If we can complete these 3 arrangements that I have just described, we will add 2,500 cases. We will take just under 3,000 cases. And my goal is to take every one of them to term, because I want to jam the system. If police really are, you know what bugged me in that whole video? The cop with his gun comes into the restaurant. Is there a crime scene here, officer? Is there a murder here, officer? Is there a rape? Is there an armed robbery? Is there an active shooter? You come into a restaurant with a gun on your hip to threaten people for having a burger? If that's what being a policeman is in 2021, then all the honest ones should leave the force. Now it's very interesting what's going to happen there. I've spoken to the diner owner, Chris. I'll be honest, most of our conversation was about his menu. Sheila sent me snapshots of the menu. I read it very carefully, and I asked some questions to Chris. He has something called the zombie burger, which is a burger, hot dog, onion ring, bacon, cheese, lettuce. Yeah, I memorized it. What's your point? And that was a picture. I think we showed the picture of him, that burger with the knife. It's like that big. I asked, do people really buy that, or is that almost like a gimmick thing, or is that for real? And he said, oh no, they sell a lot of those zombie burgers. I think it's $17.95. But really, that's 3 meals in one. So once we got that important business out of the way, I talked to Chris, and I said, the owner of the Whistle Stop Cafe, I said, we'll defend you and every one of your customers. Don't you worry about that. We got the lawyers covered. I think he felt relieved to hear that. I'm going to show. We got some super chats, and I'm sorry. I needed to play those videos because I had a migraine and I took a lot of meds and they're finally kicking in. I apologize that I didn't focus on what I planned to do. But you know what? Maybe it's for the best, because at 1:15, is that when we're rolling out? Okay, we're aiming for 1:15, which is just half an hour from now. Rolling out a video where I show you, why don't we put the letter up now? I promise I'll come to the super chats. So the other day, I got a letter, by email. I get letters, I get phone calls. So I get this by email. You see that? And it says, do you see right at the tippy top there, it says Ministry of the Attorney General. And on the right, you can see it says Ontario. So this is Doug Ford's Justice Department. It's an email to me. Scroll down a little bit. Unauthorized use of photograph depicting Ontario Provincial Police. Oh, really? I am counsel with the Ministry of the Attorney General representing the Ontario Provincial Police, OPP, with respect to the above noted issue. This letter is with regards to a photograph that Rebel News published in multiple locations on its website, ostensibly in support of a campaign entitled Fight the Fines Canada, and primarily located at the following URLs: Fight the Fines Canada and Help Fight the Fines. Justin, can you, now we actually showed it earlier, but I just want to show, could you just type in fightthefines.com? Like, so if someone goes to fightthefines.com, it really is the first thing people see. It's a picture of a cop. But you'll notice something about this picture. It's sort of obvious. So you literally typed in fightthefines.com? Yeah. So this is what you see. Do you see the cop in this picture? Do you see a cop in the picture? Well, yeah, you can see. You see that big word that says crowdfund, that orange box on the left? Do you see there's a cop there behind it? That's a cop. Can you see his face? No, you cannot. Can you read his name? There's a little name where, just above police, you can see a little name tag. I don't know if you can make that out. And I promise you, if you zoom in, as I have, to maximum zoom, you cannot read what that says. You think you can, but you can't. And I should tell you that not only have I zoomed in at maximum zoom, I've Googled about 20 variations of what I think that is. That, you cannot read that. It's not, you can't read it. Oh, believe me, I've tried. I spent 10 minutes on it. So can you identify this cop? No. Can you see his face? No. Can you read his name? No, you can't. This is the picture they're talking about. Okay, so let's get back to the letter. I just wanted to put that in context because people are saying, what cop? Did you show a cop's face? Did you show a cop's name? It's actually that background photo of the cop's torso with his head cropped out of the picture, and no one even notices that picture. It's a background picture. It's not like the Nickelback song, "Look at this photograph." It's not like that. It's not, "Look at this photograph." It's not like that. It's like wallpaper. No one even notices the wallpaper, right? So let's go back to the letter. So I showed you the picture, you know. The photograph is also used in various other locations, and friends, I can tell you, it's the same photo. As part of advertisements to raise funds from readers and furtherance of a stated goal to hire a team of lawyers to defend every single Canadian who gets a lockdown ticket. Yeah, that's accurate, and I'm going to do it with your help. The photograph in question is of an OPP officer in their service uniform. Presently, the origin of the photograph is unclear. However, it is being used by Rebel News without the express authorization of either the OPP or the individual officer. The officer's first initial and last name clearly appear on their uniform. Don't lie. We just showed you it is not clear. And I tell you, I zoomed in maximum resolution. You cannot read it. It's a lie. It did not clearly appear, as well as on the URLs listed above, particularly when viewed on the mobile. But that's a lie. And I know that's a lie because, and I'll tell you why right now, it's so stupid when they say the origin of the photograph is unclear. Can you type in opp.ca? Can you open up a browser and type Okay, yeah, go ahead. So we got it from opp.ca. That's the Ontario Provincial Police own website. Now, on the OPP website, so we've blurred it there because for some weird reason they're getting really stroppy about showing his face. But this is, we just took a screenshot of the OPP's website. This is from their website. That's the picture. Now, we put a blur over the cop's face because obviously the cop is not embarrassed to be an OPP officer. He's proud. And he posed for this promotional photo, and he got paid to take this photo. And you can see we cropped out his face, right? Because you can recognize the watch and the angles of his arms and his torso. Now, in this image here, we put a blur over his face, which is absurd because this photo has been online on the OPP website for years. It's their handout photo, as they say. It's their PR photo. This is the image anyone can use, because of course a government publication is copyright free. This is what they want the world to see. Now, we have blurred that face out. Just, I don't even know why we're doing it, because you literally go to the OPP website and you can see this handsome young man. So take a good look at his chest. You see it says police, and you see the angle of the arms, and you notice his watch, and you see his thumbs are on his belt, and you can sort of see that he's standing in front of the windscreen of his car, right? The windshield. So now go back, if you would, if you please, to fightthefines.com. So you're going to see that we took this stock image, copyright-free, public handout from the OPP that's on their website, and that's what we used to, as a background illustration. Just flip to fightthefines.com if you'd be so kind. Oh, that's the letter, but just show you. Anyway, I'm telling you that's where we got it from. And what's so weird is this threat letter from Doug Ford's Justice Department says, we're not sure where the letter came from. It came from the OPP's. You know what? Yeah, so this is okay, this is fightthefines.com. So do you see you see his watch there? And you see the angle, and he says, that's him. And I know that's him because that's where we got the photo from. And you can see, I promise you cannot understand what that means. And yeah, so this is the page. Okay, thanks. Take it down. Could you put the letter back up? I'm over my migraine. The meds have kicked in. I apologize for the first 40 minutes of the show. I was a little bit groggy. I apologize for that. Sometimes I get migraines. You know, it's probably lack of sleep. Can you scroll up a tiny bit more on I don't know if we finished the first letter. Oh yeah. Blah, blah, blah. It appears the photograph of the officer is being commercially exploited by Rebel News to raise funds for a cause without the express consent of the officer or the OPP. As such, the unauthorized use of this photograph constitutes a tortious misappropriation of personality. Really, that's quite something given that his face isn't there. An invasion of privacy. Really, that's quite something given that this was a PR photo posed and published by the OPP itself, depending on the exact origin of the photo. You don't know? You idiots don't know where it's from? You're complaining about a photo, but you don't know where it's from? It may also constitute a copyright violation. No, actually, that's not the law. If something is published by the Queen or the government, it is public. Further, the unauthorized use of the photograph, oh, here's my favorite, in a media and fundraising campaign may create a threat to the individual officer's personal safety and is a violation of their right to be free from harassment. Hey, can I ask you a question? I mean, I'm stupid, so I don't know the answer, but maybe you're as smart as a Justice Department lawyer for Doug Ford. If you can't read their name and if you can't see their face, how on earth could it be a threat to their safety? And if it is a threat to their safety, why are you publishing their face on your website and have done so for years? And then look at what's in bold, because they're trying to scare me. In the circumstances, we're requesting this photo to be removed. Blah, 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 you take it down, blah, blah, blah. Oh, look at the last paragraph. We look forward to hearing from you shortly and reserve our rights to pursue any and all legal proceedings considered advisable should Rebel News decline this request. That's lawyer code for we just might sue you. And it's signed by Sean White, Counsel, Ministry of the Attorney General, Government of Ontario. Now, what would you do if you got this letter? Real question. What would you do? Well, the first thing I did when I got it is I thought, what are they talking about? So I went to Fight the Fines. I said, that's what they're talking about? We cropped out his face. And then I walked over to Mike. I said, Mike, where'd you get that photo from? He showed me the OPP set. I said, so they're showing his face, so it's a handout photo? Because we're very careful about copyright around here. We use public domain or fair use, fair dealing under copyright law, or we have a subscription with various photo and video services, because we're very attentive to that, not just because we believe in property rights, because we have property rights in our creations too, but YouTube is very vigorous at enforcing copyright. So I went and I said, Mike, where'd you get it? He showed me. I said, well, that's a great choice of a photo, Mike, because that's totally kosher from a copyright point of view, which is really on the top of our mind. And it's a great photo, and it's just perfect for background. It says police, shows the torso, it doesn't show face, because we're not talking about that cop when we say fight. We're talking about cops who give these Fight the Fines. So the first thing I did was I checked the facts. I thought, oh, we're rock solid. Second thing I did is I reread the letter and I thought, did a cop really get harassed for an anonymous picture of his torso? And by the way, I did a Google reverse search. You know how you can do that? You download a photo or upload it, and Google searches for that same photo. It's 4 pages of use, including a newspaper, including stores selling things. So I thought, okay, these guys are trying to rumble me. They're trying to roll me. They got 3 legal complaints. They're saying you stole it, copyright violation, not true. They're saying you're profiting off his personal image, not true. We don't have his face there. They're saying harassment. No, I don't believe, in fact, I'll prove it to you in a minute, that he has been harassed. He is not. And finally, invasion of privacy. How's it an invasion of privacy? We're not using his face, and he already published that on the OPP website. 4 lies. That's impressive, 4 lies in 2 pages. So I just picked up the phone, because I'm a friendly guy, I'm a talker. So I pick up the phone, and I called Sean White. And we played phone tag a little bit. And I finally got him. And the first thing he did was he said, Ezra, can I put you on hold? I got to bring someone else in on the call. I said, really? You wrote the letter. You don't want to. Well, he calls his boss, Jennifer Richards, deputy director of the whole branch. I forget her title. Deputy director, like big shot. So it was I didn't know that till I Googled her later. But I'm thinking, why are you putting? You wrote the letter. I'm here to talk to you. Are you just like some pawn? Yes. And I learned that there were meetings and meetings with the OPP and meetings in the Justice Department. And Sean White signed the letter, but the deputy director was fully briefed on the file. And she got on the line. I don't care, get the Premier himself on the line. And I asked some questions like, are you serious? You don't even know where the photo's from, but you're threatening me over it? You're that stupid you can't do a Google reverse search? I was much more polite on the phone. I did not call them stupid. I was very nice on the phone. Justin, would you say I was nice on the phone? I'm famously polite. I'm famous for being polite. I did not swear. I did not shout. I appealed to their better angels. There was a point where I said, I think you guys are being mean to me. I did say that. But that was me sharing my feelings and being vulnerable. That's not being mean. And then when the call wasn't going right, I said, do you guys want to start this again? Like, let's do this. And I said, hey, if the cop, I said, did you actually talk to the cop? And they pretty much said, nah. I said, you know what? Have that cop call me. I gave them my phone number in an email. I said, have the cop call me. I said, I don't even think you talked to the cop. And they didn't. We're going to roll out the whole video. Do we know when the video's coming out? Like, is it really on track for? But just for a couple more minutes here, do you have those audio clips? So I want to let you know, because I'm a reporter, and reporting things accurately is important, and because I was dealing with a couple of Doug Ford's lawyers coming to kill me, threatening me, obviously I recorded the call. Because this is a bizarre phone call, bizarre threat letter. Clearly it's BS. I want to talk to them. And I don't want them to change the story on me, especially when they had 2 on the call versus me. What if they agreed to lie about me? I didn't know that when I started recording. They brought the lady in a moment. But here, I want to play, you got 2 clips handy there, is that right? What do you think is a useful one? Let's start with when I said that they were so mean, because this is when I was being, like, I don't really get in touch with my feminine side a lot. But I thought, I'm really going to open up to these guys because they were being mean to me and they were threatening me. And I just wanted to let them know that I'm a person too with feelings Sometimes I eat my feelings. But I wanted to reach, I said, guys, you hurt my feelings by threatening to sue me 4 ways. And I wanted them to know that. And here's how that goes.
Why are you being so mean?
Oh, I don't know if we got the audio.
Is that actually a question that you want to answer?
Yeah, sure. You got 2 lawyers sending me a threat letter on stationery, threatening to sue me. Why didn't you just pick up the phone? Like, why are you threatening to sue me? Surely you know that I have to defend our freedom of speech and freedom of the press. I mean, like I said, do you want to fight with me or do you want to resolve a real problem?
I don't think in any way we were looking for a quote-unquote fight. I think it was important, as we always do, to outline our legal position and to put it in writing so that there's no misunderstanding with respect to the issue.
Well, there's a lot of misunderstanding. You didn't even do your research. You didn't even know where the photo was from. I found it in like a minute just by Googling your site. You know, like you didn't even do your homework on that. You're obviously, you didn't even know it was your own photo. You didn't do any homework here. You ran straight to the threat letter. There's 2 lawyers on this file. When you could have just picked up the phone and said, hey, Ezra, you went straight for the threat letter. And you know what that does to me? That puts me on my back feet. Because now I'm thinking, I'm being threatened, and I'm a journalist, and the only thing a journalist can do is being threatened by cops is to push back. So you see the pickle you've put me in? This threat letter and your hostile tone of the letter, and you're very friendly on the phone, I'll give you that. But this letter feels like a shakedown. Put yourself in my shoes for a minute. You've never sent this letter to anyone else that you know. You didn't do any of your research. I think you confirmed for me this cop hasn't had any harassment. You didn't even know this photo's being up for 9 months. But you spent hours being instructed by clients in writing this letter, and you got 2 years on the call. What am I going to take from this other than you're trying to roll me? And you should Google me, and you'll find out that I don't react well to threats. Do you want to start over again on this whole thing?
No, I mean, at the end of the day, we have...
No? Okay. Message received.
No,
let's rumble. Let's rumble. Let's rumble.
Please let me just finish my sentence.
No, I can't believe you said no. That was me offering an olive branch, and you said no.
It went on for a while. I said, why don't you have the cop call me? They said no. I said, have you sent this threat letter to any other media ever that's published photos of cops? Because if you pick up a newspaper, the Toronto Star, the Toronto Sun, the Globe and Mail, if you go to a website, the CBC, CTV, Global, literally every single day there is a picture of a cop, right? Not just their torso, but a cop with their face, a cop with their name tag. I asked both lawyers, have either of you ever sent a threat letter like this in your entire careers to a journalist? And they both said no. And then I said, have either of you ever heard of a threat letter like this going out to another journalist? And they said no, they hadn't heard of it. I said, I want you to come back with an apology. I said, I want you to check, did the cop actually ever get harassed? They'd never spoken to him, by the way. I said, I want you to check if the Justice Department has ever sent a threat letter to anyone else, because they said they'd never heard of it. And I said, I want you to apologize to me for threatening me 4 ways with a lawsuit. By the way, can we make sure we have that letter embedded on the page or something, that threat letter? I want people to see the whole threat letter. And I gave them a deadline to get back to me with an apology. And they actually did get back to me on the deadline. And they refused to apologize. Like, you heard me. I said, do you want to start over again? Like, what are we doing here? Like, let's have a friendly talk. If the cop has a real problem, have him call me. They wouldn't. They wouldn't even talk with him. I don't think that anyone could possibly and they wrote back to me and they said, I said, have the cop call me. Here's my phone number. Here's my personal cell phone number. Well, obviously they wouldn't, because obviously no one has picked on him because his face and name are not visible. They said, oh, well, we're protecting his anonymity. I said, hang on. If he's anonymous, how could he be harassed? Are you even listening to your changing alibis? So I ended with a bit of a growl at them by saying, if I hear from you again, I'm going to sue you for abuse of office, abuse of power. Abuse of process is really, abuse of power, abuse of process, is what I mean. And I said, keep all your records on this. And tell Doug Ford and the head of the OPP to keep their records too. Because it's illegal for the government to use the official machinery of state for a vendetta. Do you want to play a minute of me growling at them? You know what? We should read the Super Chats instead. Folks, Justin tells me that we are on track to release the whole recording in about like 10 minutes, is that right? And is it live then, or is there a countdown then? Okay. Okay. Should we put it on like a 45-minute premiere for like 2 p.m.? Yeah, why not? Because it's a pretty crazy video with some pretty crazy audio. The whole thing is like, what, 45 minutes actually? So it's a bit of a monster. I think it's one of the longest videos we've made in a long time. Did you think, we played about 15 minutes worth of the phone call, right? I think that's one. Yeah, and I had to explain things, which I sort of did here. So, folks, I think you'll find some of it's repetitive to what we've covered here, but the last third of the video, I think is now I hope people stick around that long to watch the end of it. It's a 45-minute video, but I think you got to watch it because I think it shows you what Doug Ford and his Justice Department are like. What's the news? Okay, we're going to do it at 2 o'clock, so we'll start premiering it. Like we'll push that premiere button whenever it's ready, and we'll roll it live at 2. That's right, 2 Eastern. That's great. Thank you. All right. Well, I just saw a $100 super chat come in from Marty Chiappa. Marty, that's incredible. Thank you very much. So why don't I take the next few minutes to go through the super chats? My migraine is gone. I took 3 Advil Extra Strength. Thank you. First 40 minutes, I was a bit pooped and a tiny bit nauseous. Glad I got through the live stream without throwing up, although that would have been ratings gold. I'm going to go back to Chris Lynch. $5. Jenny's Diner in Bonneville, Alberta is opening its doors today against COVID restrictions. It's a 50s style diner, amazing breakfast and lunches. Cheers. Hey, that's great. Justin, can you copy and paste that and email that to Sheila and to Kian? Bonneville's more north, but you know what? A 50s style diner, those are my favorites. I know I'm not supposed to have milkshakes anymore, but that's one of the things you know you're going to get at a diner. You know, I was sad when Fran's Diner in Toronto closed. I'll be honest, the food wasn't great, but it was just fun to go there. I'm deeply sad that that's gone under. Have you ever been to Fran's? You know, I'm not going to say it's the best food you're ever going to eat, but everyone likes the diner. Meet you at the diner. Let's go to the diner. Oh, it's late. Let's go to the... It's terribly sad. And I'm just talking selfishly. I mean, sad for them, too. That's an institution. You got a restaurant 50 years or however long. Terrible. Shauna Geisinger, $5. Hope you get feeling better soon, Ezra. I've had terrible headaches for the past week myself. Oh, it's just me for staying up too late and not drinking enough water and stuff like that. I'm fine. I just needed some meds. Thank you, though. Michael, $5. Ezra, I follow Rebel News all the time, but you are showing last night's info for free to non-paying members. What's the benefit? Great question, Michael. About once a month, I take a show from behind the paywall and I make it free to the world. About once a month. And I generally get the support of paywall people for doing that. I usually do it when it's something of great public interest that needs to be seen by maximum people. And I know you might be saying, well, that's all the good stuff. No. it's things that I think out of a public interest we have to have wide. So over the years, would you say, Justin, we average maybe one a month? So that's 5%. So 5% of the paywalled stuff we release in total for free. I think that's reasonable. And I got to tell you, overwhelmingly people tell me they agree with me on that. I'm just telling you. So the answer is, the benefit is, 95% of the stuff is just for premium subscribers. That's the answer. Another benefit is you support Rebel News. $8 a month. That's a benefit to us, but you may regard that as a benefit as well. Brackathor, $5. I'm one of these people who thinks both globalism and nationalism are bad. If unchecked, our national parade's stupid. Maybe, but we do need some anchor. Well, if you're not for globalism and you're not for nationalism, what's left? I guess your town or something. I mean, I could get behind that, but I think we, like, I grew up in Calgary and I went to school in Edmonton, and although those two cities have a sports rivalry and some other rivalries, I can't think of two cities more alike. And I think there is a commonality to Alberta. And I'm just speaking about that province because that's where I grew up. Regina, Saskatoon, common. I think there is a thing bigger. So I think nationalism, I mean, if you're for your town or province, that's great too. If you're not for globalism or nationalism, I don't just know what's left. Chris Lynch, $2. Protests in Bonneville, Alberta to let kids play hockey. Well, it sounds like a lot's going on in Bonneville. Cindy McSeven, $14. Thank you. Well, thank you, Cindy. B705, $10. Hi, Ezra. Thanks for all you do. Have you heard of a Warrior's Call? The gentleman who runs the site provides really good information to help every man and woman with their rights. Please check it out. I will, and before I even know anything about it, I'm on alert, because the worst thing in the world is getting homemade legal advice. And if that's what that is, that's a danger. I hear so many people talk about free man on the land, common law this, I don't contract. That doesn't hold water. Even the Magna Carta, which of course was a key in defining constitutional document in the West, it has been amended and superseded. And it is the inspiration for our modern laws. But you can't cite a section of the Magna Carta in court today because it has been superseded and amended by laws thereafter. We refer to the Magna Carta the same way we might refer to Hammurabi's Code or to the Ten Commandments. It's the inspiration and the template for our laws, but you can't really go into court and say, I plead the seventh commandment or whatever. Jason Croy, $7. Jason Kennedy needs to understand we will not be silenced nor have our rights stolen. Well, I really appreciated the tone of those people in Mirror. Music by Alana, $5.49. Thank you. Jason Croy again, $7. You now hear the feds and provincial governments floating out locking down provincial borders. Was 2 weeks to bend the curve, now indefinite. Oh, they're just making it up. They're just keeping you off balance. They know that they can't, they know that they have to refresh the emergency perpetually, otherwise you won't be conditioned to accept it. Norm, $5. Hi Ezra, this is unrelated, hope you don't mind, but have you and Sketchy Cool ever made peace? And if not, would you ever make peace with her? I'm trying to remember who Sketchy Cool is. Give me 1 second just to Google it. Right, she's a reporter. I think she's with BuzzFeed Canada now. You know what, I only had that one interaction with her, and that was it. So it was like one interaction and then it was over. So I really don't, I've had no cause to interact with her either positively or negatively. I think she's just a interchangeable, woke, millennial writer for one of the clickbait sites. There's like 100 interchangeable Sketchy Cools out there. Kyle G, $10. If restaurants, salons, and other such businesses have been shut down for the most part, wouldn't it make sense to assume that's the reason we don't see any outbreaks happening in those sectors? Well, there's some truth to that, but I'm talking about since the very beginning and when there were some relaxations. For example, in Ontario, there have been periods where you could sit down in a restaurant. they just had half capacity or whatever. So it's almost like you've already forgotten that there was a point in time when restaurants were allowed to have, say, half capacity or quarter capacity. And they had that weird rule, you had to wear your mask when you walked in, but then you could take your mask off at the table, because of course the virus only gets you if you're that high or something. No, I think you've already forgotten that for a great period of time, restaurants were open at partial capacity. And like I say, in the entire course of the entire lockdown, only 3 outbreaks in the entire country. But good question, Kyle. David Jumper, $2, thanks, written on top of a Purple Heart. Well, thank you. Frank Dano, $5. What about the class action suit the Rebel was going to do against our civil rights? On tonight's show, which will be a rare second video released to the public, I will be announcing a constitutional challenge that we have actually filed. So we have filed it already. I'm going to tell you about it on the show tonight, and I'll tell the world about it tomorrow. And it's very much about our civil rights. So thank you for asking. We actually filed it, I think, like 5 days ago, but we just haven't been so busy. Haven't told you about it. AMT, $2, Ford leader of CCP Ontario Party, not PC. Well, sometimes it's hard to see the difference. Mike Lazinski, $5. Why does no one talk about Section 33, the notwithstanding clause? That's terrifying. It can be terrifying, but it can be a way of taking power back to the legislatures away from the courts. It depends what you regard as more hostile. Unelected judges or radical legislators. They both have their dangers. Jewy, $5.50. Can you pull up hypocritical foreign policy can tweet? All right, I don't know which one you mean. Again, Jewy, $7. Where in America would you choose to live? I pick South Dakota, Texas, and Florida. Seriously thinking of move out of Canada. Those would be my 3 picks. I mean, South Dakota looks great. I love the governor. By the way, I just saw a chart today that the virus is pretty much gone in South Dakota, and they never locked down. Do you want to call up that tweet? I tweeted it earlier today. It's not high urgency, but it's a graph that's shaped like the letter A, really. Texas is wonderful. It would be near the top of my list because of the barbecue, but it's also a freedom place, and there's lots of great things there. But Florida, I think, yeah, look at that. COVID-19 case counts in South Dakota have completely collapsed. Recall that South Dakota never instituted any lockdown. We don't know why case counts have collapsed. I would not rule out herd immunity. So it's as close to zero as it gets. Click on the chart. This is from the Financial Times, I believe. Confirmed cases of COVID in South Dakota. I don't know if you can see on the left, I think it's like 20 per 100,000. Like, it is gone. It's almost undetectable. Thanks very much. Yeah, Ron DeSantis is great. Jewy, $2. Excedrin does wonders for my migraines. Yeah, I just took some Advil. Paul Saunders, £20. Thank you, Ezra. I just had to rewrite my post as I was going to suggest you post the whole of last night's show on YouTube. Your way with words and their crass stupidity was so entertaining. Well worth the watch. Thanks, Paul, and thanks for subscribing to the show. As I said to the earlier gentleman, on average, once a month, we release the full show on YouTube, just because we want more people to see it. Chev710, $5. The only investigation news on the planet. Keep up the great work, guys. I think our team is doing a great job from coast to coast. Paul Saunders, £5 again. Yeah, even as a subscriber, I don't mind you putting up entire shows occasionally, as it's important to get more people to see them. Yeah, and we put up a little clip. Normally what we do is put up an excerpt, and we say for the whole show, subscribe. And it's a balance, right? Because we have a mission to save the world, but you know what they say, you can't save the world if you can't pay the rent. So we rely on our subscribers like you, Paul, because $8 a month, you get enough folks chipping in $8 a month, you can power the rebel. Mark Heckner, $10. The term public safety, which is flaunted by the powers that be, would be very familiar to Robespierre and the Jacobins. Oh, yeah. Well, I think there's a phrase, my German is extremely weak, Staatssicherheit. Is that a word? I'm going to Google it. S-T-A-A-T-S, Sicherheit. Yeah, I even spelled it right. Okay, that doesn't mean health, that means security. I was thinking what Stasi stood for, Staatssicherheit, state security. I was mixing it up with the Gesundheitsführers. I think there's such a thing. Gesundheitsführer. Was there such a thing? I'm not going to get into it now. I used to know a lot more about the Nazi war on public health. The Nazis were really the inventors of public health as a political thing. Do you want to do that? Can you go to Google image search? I know we showed this like a year ago. Go to Google Images and then type in Nazi public health. And you're thinking, what are you talking about? Are you crazy? No, the Nazis really invented, they were the first to have state campaigns against smoking. State campaigns against drinking, the prohibition. Yeah. So, look at the one on the top right. That's exactly my point. The very first anti-smoking campaigns in the world were the Nazis. And there's some in there about different kinds of liquors. Scroll on the left-hand side, yeah. You can see they were really obsessed with smoking. In fact, one of the reasons why the anti-smoking movement really didn't pick up in post-war Germany, they were really one of the last countries in Europe to adopt it. Nazi public health posters, can you add the word posters there? Is because it was so closely related, associated mentally with Hitler. Okay, we'll have to look at it another day. But there were all these Nazi posters. We got to refine the search. We won't do it now. Obviously, a lot of those posters showing Jews as a sickness. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Hitler, who was a vegetarian, had really acute views on health. And I say again, Hitler's war on tobacco is why, after the Nazis, Germans did not get into that whole public health thing for, I think, decades, because it was just what Hitler kept on talking about. Constant Thompson for $50, Rocco Galati Roundtable, 12 noon tomorrow, 28th. 20 experts on law, medicine, education, faith, and exclusive from Catherine Austin Fitz. Thank you for your support, Ezra. Love Rebel News. Well, that's interesting. I hope he has a warning on the front of his video if it's on YouTube, because otherwise they'll delete it. John Moore, $20. Ezra, do you have the link you showed on Monday's live broadcast about where the COVID-19 appears the most, like long-term care home? Yes. Every week, Teresa Tam on Twitter tweets her weekly update. So it's a link to her page, which has like a 20-page report. So if you can find Teresa Tam on Twitter, and then just scroll through, and once a week she has like a national update. That's where I got that from. All right, well, it's 1:23. We went a little long. Did I cover all the super chats? I think I did. Can we do one thing? Because when I had my migraine, and thanks for your patience, I'm through it now. 3 Advils, extra strength, were enough to fix that. Thanks for your patience with me. When we were looking at Sheila's wonderful video from the Mirror Cafe, you saw that rancher that came in with the beef to restock the Whistle Stop Cafe because the boss, Chris, couldn't get out of there. And we put on the screen the URL for that rancher. And I thought, well, that's interesting. So there it is, Alberta Barbecue Box, Nielsen beef from our farm to your door. Family farm raised Alberta beef delivered directly from our farm to your door. What do we got there? Barbecue box family pack, light, lean ground beef. Oh, look at those ribs on the left. Oh my God, beef brisket. Stir fry, stew meat, view about us. Beef straight from where it was born and raised. We provide direct to your door delivery with all orders for free. In most cases, I will personally hand deliver your order. That's amazing. I was going to say, well, maybe we can get some of that out here. Obviously, he's not going to come from Stettler to Toronto. I wonder if he would ship it here on like dry ice. Because these guys seem like the best guys in the world. Am I right? This guy and I think his son or daughter, I can't remember, he brought one of his kids. He was brilliant. First of all, that looks amazing. Doesn't that steak look great to you? Scroll down a little. Is there like an Instagram or something here? Is it, like I saw a Facebook link. View all products, yeah. Let's take a look. Oh, social, yeah. Oh, some of that looks really good. Oh, burgers, 4-ounce pre-made patties, package of 7, $12. That's not bad. Is there like a Facebook? Because I'd like to see, I wonder if they got some gorgeous photos or if it's just, you just know it's all great. We gotta go. Okay, just give me some photos here. Do we have any photos? If you click on, I just want to learn, you know what? We'll do this another time. But I want to investigate if we can get some of their beef out here, because if he's hand delivering it, that sounds like he's just doing that in his local community, which is pretty cool. Happy New Year. That's funny. I'm gonna use that line. Looks like a great play. Oh, look at that. Look at that roast. Well, what a good guy that rancher is for restock. Thank you for indulging me there. I just thought if that rancher is restocking the Whistle Stop Cafe, I want to learn a little bit more. So what's that URL? Alberta barbecuebox.com. Is that right? albertabbqbox.com. All right, you know what? I'll investigate that on my own time, not when you're all watching. I want to say thanks to you for your patience when I was under the weather for the first hour of the broadcast. I want to say thanks to everybody who super chatted. I think a couple more just snuck through. Mark Heckner, $10. Robespierre and the Jacobin Club in France created the Committee for Public Safety to justify sending thousands to the guillotine. He eventually ended up being guillotined himself. The irony, yeah. GUE, $5. Will listen to the health experts, Ford says, while ignoring ex-Ontario health officials warning against lockdown. And Ray W. has £5. Thank you very much. All right, it's 1:27. Tune in at 2 p.m. if you want that whole story with my fight with those two Justice Department lawyers from Doug Ford's government, and including large excerpts from my phone call with them. It's a 45-minute video, but I think you will like it. I don't know if like is the right word. I think you'll find it interesting. I'm going to wrap up now. Thanks, everybody. Let us leave on a happy note. Do you have a dog video? A bear video? You know, it's funny because I was telling you, I saw this bear by the side of the road eating those. He was like going like this. I've never seen a bear eat dandelions, and he was eating them so fast. Obviously, he wasn't chewing them. He was like just swallowing them. It was like I laughed. And now you don't want to get too close to a baby bear, because where there's a baby bear, there's a mama bear. I didn't know we got a bear video. I'm really excited. Over to you, Justin. I'll see everybody later. Here's the bear video. Look at that guy. Who knew? Who knew? Look at that. That's what I saw, but it was a baby.